Hey everyone, and welcome to 121 in Flux. I am Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about Kingsman, the Secret Service, because we talk about movies on this show, and that's the movie that we're going to talk about today. Now, sometimes we go a little bit older than this, but obviously we have the sequel coming out in a few weeks' time, so we thought it'd be fun to revisit the first one. It's been, 2.5 years since the first one came out. We'll see if it holds up. And we'll start spoiler free, as we usually do, and we'll warn you about halfway through before we go into spoilers. So Kingsman comes from Matthew Vaughn. He's a director. He also co-wrote the script along with Jane Goldman. Of course, it's based on a comic book by Mark Millar, who this is the same team from Kick-Ass. This is the same comic writer to same writing team for the movie, same director. Like, it's the same process, which, good, because I happen to quite like Kick-Ass. I enjoy that a lot. So, I quite like Matthew Vaughn's films as well, actually. I feel like he's not really let me down yet. Like, everything's been...
I've not seen all of them, but everything I have seen I've enjoyed, or at least thought was good, at the worst I've seen from him.
Even the one that didn't look like something I would like, and by that I mean Stardust, ended up being really good. And I had a lot
I
of
haven't
fun
seen
with
that one yet, but I've read the book, so I'd interested to check that. What's the one? What was the one with Daniel Craig in?
Layer Cake.
Yeah, that's the one that I enjoyed the least from him, but it was still pretty good.
Least by far the least favourite, but that was his first one, and then he went on to do all the other things that he's done since then. So obviously I went into this the first time thinking I was going to like it, just based on the talent. I'm not really into spy stories super much though. Like a big thing this movie's doing is kind of having fun with old James Bond tropes, which is weird from my perspective because I don't actually care for James Bond or any of those tropes.
And alternatively, I love those old James Bond movies.
Yeah, I actually like this movie way more than any James Bond movie.
Oh, I wouldn't go that far. I like this movie a lot, but come on.
No, seriously, I care way more about these characters than I have ever cared about any character in a James Bond movie.
Oh, that's fair.
This movie has heart, and I find James Bond to usually be lacking heart. That's my stance on the matter. But that's why in this I come out, actually caring about the outcome, and I'm like into the action sequences. Which, by the way, Matthew Vaughn, this movie included really great action director. Like all of his action sequences are, there's very few directors right now who kind of like take my breath away, as cheesy as that sounds, in the way that he does with the action.
Some of the action sequences in this movie are, in my opinion, the best of this decade, at least. I'd have to, they're up there for sure.
And it's not a fluke because I came out of Kick-Ass thinking that some of the scenes in that were some of the best action scenes that I'd seen.
Well, and that's it. It's like this hasn't just got one great action sequence. This has, a good handful. Go, no, that's fantastic.
Oh yeah, there's two in my mind that particularly stick out.
Yeah.
But yeah, like none of the action scenes come off weak. None of them feel like, oh, this was just a by the numbers little scene. Like, he always gets very inventive with how he chooses to shoot it and with what the characters are actually doing. Like, something as simple as how does the main character use the gun in the scene. There's the main character here, or not even the main character, but Colin Firth's character at one point. He does something with his gun that I've never seen anyone do in a movie. Which is saying something at this point. I mean, how long have action heroes been using guns in movies? So
pretty much since the 80s.
Longer than that, I think.
I mean, sure, but like proper action movies.
I know, but we're comparing it to James Bond. James Bond's been around since the 60s.
Right, but they weren't action movies, were they?
Definitely not. There's an entire scene in one of those bloody things of Sean Connery folding his clothes to go in a suitcase.
Nothing wrong with that. Builds atmosphere, tone.
Yeah, then he gets really sexist and then goes and, I don't know, does something boring.
Yeah, I can't really defend that so much.
Yeah.
I still love those movies. Shut up.
So I mentioned Colin Firth. He's the agent in the Kingsman, which is the Secret Service organization that beyond secret, beyond the beyond secret. This is the organization that goes beyond the MI6 and like every other. There's a scene. Samuel L. Jackson plays the villain. He's this like American like business almost what's his face, Zuckerberg style character who's like he's got his big company. He's kind of like that mixed with Apple. But he's got obviously an evil plan. He's got all these things going, and there's a scene with him where he's explaining to his henchman, played by Sofia Boutella, who has wait for it, blades for feet.
They're beautiful.
they're interesting. Like I say, inventive. That's what I really appreciate about. No, admittedly, that may have been in the comic. Sure.
Yeah,
But
I don't know, but regardless of that, it's the way the action with the legs is shot that's
yeah,
inventive.
it is. It absolutely is. But she's the she's the evil henchman, and it's funny. I can see it playing on the Bond villain tropes, but I like it way more. I feel like this is having more fun. I feel like Bond is never as fun as this.
I think you're watching the wrong Bonds.
I don't know. I've not seen any of the Roger Moore stuff.
It got
but
more fun, like actively outrageous fun sort of stuff. Especially when you get to like Pierce Brosnan. That's just stupid fun.
I saw a couple of his. I wasn't keen. I never saw the one that everyone raves about. I never saw GoldenEye, but I've seen the two after that.
One day we're doing GoldenEye.
Oh God. Nah, because I feel like at this point I'd insist on doing all the ones before we get there. And I don't think I see myself going through those 15 or whatever Bond movies to get there.
Oh, I'd be so down for that.
Anyway, what was I saying? Oh yeah, so there's a scene where Samuel L. Jackson's character, the villain, whose name is Valentine, he talks about how like China, Beijing, they don't even have a name for the Secret Service. That's how secret it is. So, whereas you think of MI6, you think of the CIA, you think of, all these different organizations. But, the KGB, even if you're going back a ways. So the idea that Kingsman's this ultra-secret thing, underground. Colin Firth is the what's his name in this? Galahad.
Yes.
Also Harry, but Galahad's his code name, and they all have, like, code names, and the idea is that there's a set number of them, and then when one of them dies, they get some recruits in and they train them up and they see which one's the best, and they take on the mantle of the one who died.
Yeah.
So a big part of this movie is they're looking for the new Lancelot, because Lancelot bites it towards the start of the movie, and so that's when our other main character in Eggsy, played by Taron Egerton, he's like this little how do I describe this so that everyone will understand what I mean?
This is one of those moments where you can tell this film is exceptionally British.
I don't think it's exceptionally British, but I do think the fact that you have all the creative heads are all British, and you can tell that they understand what they're doing in all these scenes. Whereas if this had went to someone else, if this went to an American director, some of this earlier stuff that's set in London would probably feel a bit off. Whereas here, it's almost distracting how accurate it is.
Do you know what? I think, to go back to the Bond comparisons, it's one of those things where obviously Bond's a British creation and he's a British character, but the movies feel very American.
And I think this does as well.
Do you think?
Yeah,
I think in some respects.
The way it's shot is American.
The way it's shot, absolutely.
This is not to throw, like... I mean, think of English action movies, right? Or British action movies. There's not a lot of them, and, like, yeah, you could probably think, okay, Edgar Wright does it quite well, but usually, like, the way the action's shot is not something I'd expect from a British movie, certainly. And,
no, that's fair. I think the script is very British.
Yeah. But yeah, so he's this, like we see a flashback at the start where his dad he was training to be in the service and he get killed, so he's given this medallion as a little boy and he's told to phone this number and say this if you ever need to get out of a jam and we'll be there because we owe you a favour. But this just happens around the same time that they need a new recruit. So Colin Firth comes and brings him in, and he's a little sort of reckless, sort of part-time criminal, little. I'm trying really hard not to say the word chav, but
that's the annoying problem is that's what the word for him is.
Oh, it is. Or if you're Scottish, Ned, to translate that for Scottish folk.
Fair enough. But the problem is, if you don't know that word already, it means nothing to you.
Yeah, it sounds ridiculous. But you get it from the context. I think, because they never mention those words. It's just, this is who he is. This is the sort of life he's leading. So he's a bit of a waste. He's not really doing anything with himself. He's clearly talented. He's a smart kid, but he's kind of thrown it all away. And he blames circumstance for that. But a big part of the movie is that Colin Firth's like, no, stop blaming circumstance for who you are. It doesn't matter where you come from.
You gotta make yourself what you want to be.
Which is a big theme of the movie, of course. It's about it's kind of a coming of age story almost, and
it is in some respects, yeah.
Yeah, rising to the challenge, but it's also a ridiculous action movie with all this stuff going on. So he gets trained, and that's kind of the plot of the movie. And meanwhile, you have Samuel L. Jackson, who's got some kind of worldwide plan that's going to do something bad. It's not very clear. I think it's a spoiler to say what the plan is, because it's not until later on in the movie.
It is, because that's kind of the whole thing with him. He's like, he has a front as public persona, and it's like, okay, you get he's doing something, and it's to do with global warming because that was his whole big thing.
Yeah, he's up to something shady, basically.
Yeah, but you don't know quite what.
Yeah, you've also got Michael Caine. He's like the head of the Kingsman Secret Service. He's the older man. You got Mark Hamill in a surprising role. He's just kind of this university professor, who gets mixed up in things a little bit.
I know that was supposed to be like a fun nod because in the comic, the character that he plays, he plays a character that wasn't in the comic, but the role was filled by Mark Hamill in the comic.
Wait, what?
So like the character that Mark Hamill plays.
Yes.
He plays this professor. That professor didn't exist, but the bit of the plot that revolves around him at the start of the movie, in the comic, that bit of plot just revolved around Mark Hamill instead.
Okay, right. I get you.
Yeah.
Interesting. I will say him doing his English accent sounded a lot like his Joker at times.
It did, didn't it?
It was almost a little bit distracted. I was like, oh man. I was like, yeah, sure, he's the one that's meant to be in danger in this scene with all these, bodyguards around him, but I'm like,
But you're just waiting for him to turn the tables.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like at any time he's going to stab everyone in the room. I feel it in my stomach.
No, it's true.
So he's there. You got that. You also got Mark Strong, who plays Merlin. He's another high-ranking Kingsman. He's kind of like the guy who's training them all. He's the one grading them all.
He's also, to go back to the Bond comparisons, he's probably the most similar to Q.
Yeah, he's a bit more active than Q would be.
He is, but he still kind of fills that role of the quartermaster.
First of all, I'll say it's nice to see him not be a villain for once, because he's always a villain.
It's true, isn't it?
That's just who he is. I will say that his Scottish accent that he's putting on is a little hit and miss.
Yeah. That's fair to say.
Took a little bit getting used to that, but he's otherwise quite good in the movie. So, much like other Matthew Vaughn's other movies, there's a sense of humour to it. There's definitely funny moments throughout, but there is a heart, and there is the action scenes. He's got kind of a winning, I don't want to say formula, but there's definitely elements that you see popping up in a lot of his movies where he balances really well between the humour, the heart, the action.
Yeah, there are things that you can point at and go, that's a Matthew Vaughn movie.
And I think they all, Stardust has that, Kick-Ass has that, X-Men First Class even has that. So, I mean, that one probably has the least amount of humour compared to the others, but you can still tell it's still there. And so that's all very well balanced throughout the movie. And yeah, so it's good.
Had you seen this since release in the cinemas? Is this your first time revisiting it?
I think so, yeah. I don't think I've watched it since, until now.
Yeah, me too. I think I saw it a couple of times in the cinema, but then I hadn't watched it till now either.
Yeah, I was glad to revisit it, especially since the new one's coming out. I remembered it to a point, but obviously there's some details.
I remember the outlines, the set pieces and certain bits of humour, but there's a lot that I'd forgotten.
Yeah, so it was nice to go back to it. I do think I like the movie more in the second half once it really gets going and the plot really starts to. I think there's a lot of setup in the first half, which it's fine. But I think the second half is just much stronger because everything flows together really nicely, and that's where things really come together. That's where you get the famous church scene, and the stakes go up, and a lot of it means a lot because of all the setup you get in the first half. But there is a good chunk of the first half where it is just a lot of new elements being introduced one after the other, and it takes a little while to get your footing.
Yeah, but at least there's some there's still some action highlights that are going on that keep you interested.
Oh yeah. There's definitely things peppered throughout to sort of not wake you up. It's not like that.
Yeah,
but
it never goes too long of this is just new information without having some fun every so often.
Yeah, and there's a lot of nice little visual cues throughout with the actors will do these little things that'll tell you something about the character in little ways. Before you see it sets up quite early on that Eggsy can do sleight of hand and things like that, and it gives you all these other sort of minor characters to sort of care about a little bit, so that when stuff's going down at the end and the whole world's in danger, there's some people sprinkled throughout that we actually kind of care about to an extent, so that it's not just all meaningless. It's not all just oh, the world's going to end. Well, that's great, but I don't know anyone in the world, so who cares? That's a cynical viewpoint, but that's kind of how you feel sometimes with these movies, because it just says, oh, the world's going to end, but
Yeah, and it's like, okay, we get it. You're setting up it's a big, massive threat, but you've got to give us a reason to care about something specific.
Yeah, and sure enough, we set up that he has his mother's still around. He's got a little sister who's like still a baby. So we know those people. He's got friends as well. We see them at the start of the movie, and we don't really see them again much throughout the rest of it. But
we know that they're there, and
yeah.
that he has this good relationship with them.
Yeah, exactly. So it sets up all. It gives it the human element that when stuff's going down, there's like someone to
anchor it.
Yeah, someone to anchor it, and it also means that we can see how much he's transformed, because when he goes back to his own world at the end, it's kind of like, okay, this is where he came from, but now he sticks out as being really different, and you see the progression from there. So no, I think we'll get spoilers. I because I want to talk about specific scenes and stuff.
Yeah.
But needless to say, it's a very good movie. It's very well paced. It's very good action. Pretty strong characters.
Yeah.
And I think my sort of my biggest compliment I can probably give it is that as someone who does not give a shit about James Bond or the spy genre, typically, I still had more fun out of it than I should have. I still prefer Kick-Ass. I think Kick-Ass is a stronger movie to me, but I think this is actually way stronger. If you'd told me this plot, if you just sat down and pitched this to me, I would have assumed that I'd be like, eh.
No, I get you.
But Matthew Vaughn knows what he's doing.
I think I prefer this over Kick-Ass, but then I'm a lover of those spy movies, those Bond movies. What this is playing at and having fun with, so that appeals to me already on a base level already. So.
Yeah, to me it doesn't. To me, actually, it starts in a place where, okay, I don't really care about any of this shit, and then it earns
to overcome that.
Yeah, it earns it throughout the movie, where it makes me care about the characters. That I'm like, okay, right, I'm into this now. But I'm not there right at the start. That said, the ridiculous, over-the-top, last action hero style opening titles of the building blowing up, and it's like the camera's swooping in and they're deforming the letters. I like that.
There's a moment where it took me out of it just for a moment. That first one where it's this, explosion on the building, and it has this effect, and it kind of looks strange, and then it goes into the words, and it's like, oh, I get it.
No, because the bass of the music's still like dun dun, and it's like you're going over the land, and the words are coming at you. It's very energetic, very stylized, He's doing everything he can to make this movie feel like it's got a forward momentum, and it does. It really does.
It does.
So I will say I'm a little bit. Not resentful, that's too strong a word, but it does upset me a little bit that Kick-Ass's sequel got shipped off to some other asshole, and that turned out to be a complete train wreck of a movie, and it came back for Kingsman. That annoys me a little bit. I would have wanted Matthew Vaughn's Kick-Ass too, but hey.
I get that, but if I had to pick, I'm gonna go with this one. But obviously I haven't seen Kingsman 2 yet, so it could be bad, although I don't see that.
It, but
this is the one I'd prefer to have the sequel to.
Yeah, I am in a different boat, but it's done now, so I'll take another good Matthew Vaughn movie regardless of what it is. So full spoilers from this point on. Full spoilers for the movie. So let's talk about action sequences then, because I feel like that's the big standout.
Start with some of the smaller ones.
You can do. Maybe start with the in the pub, the bar.
Yeah, that's the one that stands out in the first half, for sure.
Yeah, that's where he kind of shows what he can really do beyond anything else. Colin Firth, we've been introduced to these bullies who are kind of a part of so Eggsy's mum is dating this asshole who appears to have his own sort of crew. I don't think they're quite a gang, but they're kind of
a collection of friends.
A collection of thuggish friends who do thuggish things together.
Yes, but definitely not a gang.
Yeah,
gang is giving them too much, I think, credit.
Yeah, I will say that he succeeded in making me want to see their faces punched into oblivion every second they're on screen. These were the worst type of British characters that I hate seeing in things. No, hit them with cars. Do whatever you want to them. It's fine.
Yes, it's a great sequence with a car.
Yeah. Car was amusing, but so Colin Firth basically shows what he's capable of by taking on this group And he throws uses his umbrella, which it turns out is more than just an umbrella, but is and he throws the beer at one of them, and he hits a bunch of them. And it gives you that sense of the way you can, the kinetic movement through the action scene.
It's where you get, this is the style. It's got a real flow to it, more than almost any other action thing that I've seen recently.
Yeah, Iron Fist could do with.
Oh God!
Watching
someone, whoever choreographed this, please, Netflix, Marvel, hire them.
So, see, at this point, I don't want to waste a person on that. I want them, this person, whoever choreographed this, should keep doing stuff with Vaughn or whoever else and do other good movies.
Just do awesome things, yeah.
So that one's sort of the early standout, and then there's other little bits that are really good, because obviously when they're training the kids, there's the whole water sequence where they fill the bunk room full of water and they have to like get out, and this is where you think it's getting quite dark, because one of the students gets killed and you think, oh man, they're willing to kill people off, although we find out later it's all a bit
of a ruse.
It's a bit of a ruse. The person who died there was actually okay, and they were actually just a planted person to give them a death for the first game. Yeah,
because that's the whole thing. It's like, here's your body bags. You sign it and accept the risk.
Like,
and then
when they fire them out the plane, and he tells them over the mic that one of their parachutes don't actually work or isn't there, so they have to sort of work together to make sure they all like land. So it's one by one they drop, and then the idea is that the two that are left come down as a pair. All very smart. It's a really well shot sequence. But then you have Eggs. He's like, why am I the one whose parachute didn't work? Because he was the last one. They never pulled his string, and then Mark Strong makes him come over and like pulls it, and he goes flying back because the parachute comes out. It was a lie. Yeah. It forced them to solve the problem, even though that technically they were all
I
safe.
think one of my small complaints is that Mark Strong didn't go, never believe what someone tells you. That's something like that should have been part of the lesson, I think. Just because they were told that that's the situation, the lesson should have been you should check this for yourself.
If I have a complaint about all the tests, it would be that I think eventually I was like, okay, I'm going to not believe the rules, because every single time they've put a little twist on the end of it to say, oh no, that you were fooled because either this wasn't real or this was that or that. So it got to a point where I'm like, okay, I'm just kind of looking for what the trick is now, rather than just seeing what the drama of the test is.
So when it gets to the final test of the dog, you kind of don't believe it at that point.
Yeah, like because
you're just going, well, this doesn't line up.
Every single one of them up until that point, there's been like a little twist that says, no, this is okay. Like they're not actually putting people's lives in danger here, to a point. So that would be my one. It's a minor complaint though, because it's not like they're not all fun, because they are. But
they are.
You got to a point where okay, I just don't believe you now. Like
the stakes just aren't quite there for those moments.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of what separates the movie really well for me, is that because we get to the end of all this training stuff, and that's just it's just after Colin Firth pissed at him for not shooting the dog, which turned out to be a blank. It wasn't actually going to shoot the dog. That's when he goes to the church. That's when that stuff starts to pick up. So it does make the movie feel a little bit fragmented in that sense, because then when he goes to the church, that kind of starts the third act, and it starts with like, okay, we have to go and deal with this problem now. And it does kind of separate the movie into three chunks. There's before the training, which is when we're introduced to Eggsy and like introduced to all the other elements, and then there's the actual training section, which is probably the longest chunk of the movie. That's like a good hour long. And then there's the third act, which is all the stuff with them going to stop Jackson's character and the mountain and everything else. But that leads us nicely onto the church.
Yes.
So Valentine's plan is he's giving out free SIM cards. The idea being that everyone gets free phone calls and free internet forever. He's just doing this at the kindness of his heart. No one's even thinking, maybe he's got an ulterior motive.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure Google have a similar scheme going right now to for third world countries. Be like, hey, look, we're going to set you up an infrastructure so you can develop. And I'm like,
what are you playing at?
I'm keeping an eye on you, Google. What are you doing?
You feel like if they're doing that, then just 2 rooms down the hallway, there's like someone from Google just assassinating like little dogs or something.
Yeah.
Balance. So this church sequence. So his whole thing is that he's going to send a signal through these SIM cards, and it'll turn everyone in the vicinity. Basically, kind of similar to like the red kryptonite has on Superman, where it takes away their inhibitions, but it also pumps up the aggression, so they all start fighting. So it's this hate group, this church in Kentucky. It's a hate group. It's all this, heretic they're spouting, hate speech, everything else,
and they're all their whole like sermon is against the government. It's like, no, we can't have any. They want to. They're for abortion. They're for gay marriage. All this stuff, and it's like, okay.
In fact, there's a really funny moment because Colin Firth goes to leave, and this woman's like, "Why? Where are you going?" He's like, "Well, I'm a Catholic whore. I have a gay boyfriend, and we both work at an abortion clinic." Or it was like, I'm maybe missing out a couple of details, but it was like this
I feel
sentence.
Like it was longer than that, and there was more things, but those are the ones that stood out. Yeah,
it was basically just this long sentence of, "Here's everything you hate in life. I am part of all of it. Get out of my way, bitch." So that was a funny line, but basically it triggers this thing. This is the test for the thing that he's going to do worldwide, and everyone in the church starts to go nuts and starts like punching and fighting. But the interesting thing is, though, is that what he doesn't know actually before this, he's figured out that Galahad's part of some Kingsman organization. He's not really sure what it is at this point. But he, of course, has the skill to actually kill people. He has the skill to go into these fights. So because of that, he basically massacres everyone in the building, because he's good enough to fight his way out of it. Yeah,
it's a last man standing situation, isn't it?
Yeah, it's basically like, obviously he's not in control. He wouldn't actually kill all these innocent people. Now, admittedly, they're just giving us a reason to not care too much because they're a bunch of hateful people.
Right, so we're watching this going, yeah, go on, kill them.
But he's not actually willfully doing this, but because he has the skill, he's the one who's winning. He's the one who's beating everyone else, and it is just this glorious... The first part of it is... It's not quite a winner. I can actually see the tricks into where they've slotted in the
you
cuts.
Kind of feel looking for them, but it looks good.
Yeah, it's this, this camera's moving around, very, again, very kinetic. I keep using that word, but that's how they feel. And he's using his gun, he's shooting lots of different people, then he runs out and he starts using a blade at one point. Someone stabs him in the shoulder, he uses that for other people. I mentioned that he does something with a gun that I'd never seen before. He basically, he takes the top off and he's got the two parts of the handgun and he stabs one of them in the guy's neck and then the other one in the eye. And it's like, I've never seen someone take apart a gun and use it as a stabbing weapon.
No, I haven't either.
There's lots of other things here, though. There's at one point, he throws a guy...
with a Bible.
He hits someone with the Bible. He throws someone into a wall, and the guy's head snaps back the way, and it just sort of rests there, snap back. It's a really quick thing. I don't think I ever noticed that my first time.
There's the one where he stabs the woman in the stomach.
Yeah. Luckily, she was not pregnant, though.
As far as we know.
Well, she wasn't showing anyway, if she was.
Right. That would be a weirdly ironic abortion. I'm just saying.
I don't think it counts as an abortion if it also kills the mother.
A failed abortion.
It's a really fun scene. It's very good. It's kind of like, okay, here's the showpiece. Here's the scene that he clearly worked a lot on to like get this down. Like, how's this going to flow? How's it going to feel? And it does. But it has this weird tinge to it because everything that's happening is bad. It's not like he's doing this heroic act.
Right. It's this horrible thing where it's like, okay, this is really fun to watch. You've got the music going. You got the solo from Freebird.
Yeah.
Which is a stupidly long solo as it is. I should point out. It's like 4.5 minutes.
I'm okay with that. Well, the song in a total is like 9 minutes, so that's okay.
It is. Half the song is the solo. Yeah. It's amazing. But so it's like this really energetic. It's like, oh, this is fun. And then obviously, like you said, it's so kinetic. There's so much motion, and it wants you to be having fun with this. It's like, yeah, but he's just killing all these dudes. They probably shouldn't be, and he's not really in control here.
And you can see he's not happy because he gets out of the room, like it wears off. He's killed everyone. He's standing there and everyone's dead. Grenades went off. Someone gets set on fire at one point. Like, it's been just nothing but chaos. He gets outside and Samuel L. Jackson's standing there and he's like, "Oh, good job. You killed everyone. It works wonderfully." And he's like, "What did you make me do? I just killed like all those people. What have you done?" And this is where it gets a little bit meta. And I remember really liking this the first time I saw it, and I still do. Because when he goes to see him earlier on, when he's trying to case him out earlier, and he goes over for dinner and he serves him McDonald's, which I thought was a weird joke. So this posh, dinner, they've got the wine out and a tray of McDonald's comes up. And, I enjoy some junk food as much as the next guy, but this was a really weird, like, if it's almost like Matthew Vaughn was told, right, you need to put in some product placement for McDonald's, and he went, "You know what? Fine, I'm going to do it my way though," and they made a big scene out of it.
You get the point. I think is supposed to be, like Valentine's. He's kind of like a man of the people, even though he's rich. He's supposed to care. It's
Yeah,
kind of
but
meant to be ordinary at the some level.
then they start talking about what kind of wine goes well with a Twinkie.
Yeah, that happens then.
Yeah, but anyway, so and they share the love of movies, and it becomes this kind of weird undertone like conversation where like, oh, I always admired the villain for this reason. I always admired the, and Colin Firth even says, I don't like the new spy movies. They're too real. I like the old goofy ones, and kind of ties into the movie. Is really over the top in a lot of ways.
Yeah, it's playing into those old goofy ones.
But it calls back to that scene here when Samuel L. Jackson says about if this was a movie, this would be the point where I explain all my plan, and then I think of some weird convoluted way for you to be killed, and then you equally figure out a convoluted way to get out of it. But it's not that kind of movie, and he just pulls out a gun and shoots him in the head. I like that moment. It's pointing out the trope, and then it just breaks it. It just says, no, we're not doing that.
And I think it's fascinating given the next movie.
Yeah, the next movie kind of is going back on it a little bit.
Right, because obviously when you see that line originally before this next one, it's like, okay, you get it. It's going, this ain't that kind of movie. It's making a statement.
Yeah.
And now it's like, okay, but at heart, it kind of is that movie still.
It kind of is. And I think maybe what you could read into that, though, is that Samuel L. Jackson's character thinks it's that kind of movie because he thinks he's going to win. But ultimately, the good guys still save the day at the end.
Yeah.
So I think that's maybe the hint that maybe, okay, he's not actually, like, he thought he was right in the moment, but he wasn't. How do you think they're going to do it? Because you see he's got an eye patch in the trailer for the new one. I think they're going to be like, oh, he had some metal thing behind his eye that stopped it from going into his brain. So his eye's gone, but he's...
Or he was dead and they brought him back. Like, they got so ridiculous that I wouldn't be opposed to it. Like, it's so over the top and ridiculous anyway that if they said, yeah, the bullet went straight through his eye, but, it was cleared, we patched him up, we brought him back somehow. They give you some, pseudoscience explanation. I'll go with it.
Yeah, my only concern about any of this is that they'll make feel death like it doesn't matter in this universe.
Yeah, will it undermine Eggsy's journey?
Yeah, any danger anyone gets into, are we going to feel that it's not worth anything now because we know people can just come back? Because when this happened, it was like legitimately shocking. Like he was kind of billed as Eggsy's the main character. He's the protagonist.
Yeah, but he's top billing. He's the actor that you've got as the lead.
So this was a big moment. It was like, no, he's not even making it to Act 3. The end of Act 2 is he gets killed, and now the young folk with, Mark Strong's Merlin, they have to save the day. They have to come in and do what they're going to do.
Step up and take his place.
Yeah, and Eggsy kind of sort of earns his worth because he goes to Michael Caine and realizes that he's been one of these. Because basically, over the course of the movie, Mark Hamill's character was the first one we saw this happen to, and again, another good action scene. That's when the first Lancelot dies. He comes to rescue Mark Hamill and gets killed by
Gazelle.
Knife Legs. Aye,
Gazelle. Yeah, it is. Pretty sure it's her name.
It's Gazelle. Yeah, I was going to go with Knife Legs, but yeah, that's Gazelle.
Gazelle's a pretty cool name. It's memorable.
Yeah. So, and that was an okay action scene. He does a really cool thing where he again, it's the very sort of fluid. It's like. I remember when Equilibrium came out, and they used this phrase called gun kata, where it was like mixing martial arts with guns. This isn't quite the same thing, but it reminds me of it in a lot of ways because they keep moving with the guns. They don't just... Because a lot of action movies, especially from the 80s, especially stuff like James Bond, they'll sit behind cover and they'll shoot, and they'll stand in place, and it's very static, almost.
It's what normally happens with guns.
Yeah, well, I'm not saying it's realistic, but it's good because it's not realistic.
No, I agree.
Yeah, but instead it's like all this spinning around and getting the arm in a lock and then shooting them, and the idea of mixing the hand-to-hand combat with the guns is what makes it a lot of fun. But where was I going? Shooting the head. Aye, so all the rich people and these important politicians and famous royalty from various countries. Obviously, the Swedish princess is the one that we sort of meet who. Valentine decides that he's going to keep her safe from what's going to happen because he wants her to be around after, but he locks her in a cell too.
Yeah, well, you get the impression that there's all these, because we keep hearing about all these celebrities that have gone missing. I think what was the first one was like Iggy Azalea, I think was the one that you hear on the news.
Yeah, but the ones that agree to the plan actually get let back out as if nothing ever happened. But they've all got these scars because they've all got these implants which can be self-detonated, so their heads explode in case they decide to try and talk. But otherwise, we'll keep them safe from the signal. That's going to go out.
It's a little blocker.
Yeah. So, but he goes to Michael Caine and he notices the scar and he realises that Michael Caine's also in this. He's also a part of this. So he uses the sleight of hand, which, by the way, on a rewatch, this was the one moment where I felt, Oh, that was really obvious this time.
Yeah.
This little thing where he says, "Oh, who's in the painting?" and the camera looks over with Michael Caine.
You watch the camera cut away over and hide it.
The first time I don't think it was as noticeable, but this time it felt super like it's there to hide the fact that what he's doing. It's not there.
It's kind of clunky, isn't it, when you watch it? Because you kind of overlook it because the camera's been moving so much anyway. Because that's what the movie's been like.
On a rewatch though, that feels unnatural. It feels like it's going out of its way, and maybe that's the point. Maybe it's like if you notice that you're like, "Wow, that was a weird move. Why did it do that?" Maybe it's supposed to feel unnatural, like you have been tricked.
It kind of breaks the flow at the moment, doesn't it?
Yeah. And I don't remember feeling that way the first time, but this time, because I knew he was doing it, it really stood out to me as feeling kind of...
Well, that was it, because I'd actually forgotten where this scene was going.
And, oh, really?
Yeah. I was like, I know he gets out of this, because obviously, but I don't remember the specifics. And when that cut away, I was like, that felt weird.
I think I remembered it because I think I always had a small issue with how it was done. As much as it made sense, you knew about the pen. You put the poison in the drink, but then you actually click a button to make the poison activate. Like it's dormant in the system until you click the button. Yeah. So they introduced that, and I remember just feeling like the cut back to when he switched the drinks. I just remember that feeling a little bit forced. Like it felt kind of...
Yeah, the actual showing it.
Yeah, it felt like, oh, this was a couple of minutes. This was like, not even a couple of minutes ago. This was like 30 seconds ago you did this. I don't know, I just felt like I didn't need to see it. Whereas just, I like the idea that Michael Caine flicks the button thinking like he's going to start like dying, and he starts feeling ill, and he's like, oh, wait, you little prick. Yeah. And I love how Michael Caine's accent, as he's dying, it goes full Cockney. It
does, because he's put it on the posh voice.
Yeah. And he's like, oh, you fucking little prick, as he goes down.
That's so good. It's also another one of the examples in this movie of, Chekhov's gun is so adhered to. That rule of, if you set something up...
We got like 4 Chekhov guns in this.
No, I know, but that's what I mean. Like, everything it adheres to. Because you think, oh, okay, one of these must be a red herring.
Poison pen, the grenade, the blade in the shoe.
Yeah. I feel like there's more.
There probably is another one, but that's the 3 that are coming to mind.
But like all of them, like there is nothing that's just introduced just for the sake of it. Like everything you see comes up.
Oh no, absolutely. So that's why he teams up with Roxy, who won the tournament. She's the sort of the other main basically we had her, and then we had the douchey guy who kept like making fun of Eggsy for being lower class, because all the other candidates all came from Cambridge and Oxford, and
that's it. When he comes in, it's like Cambridge or Oxford. Which one?
Neither. Oh, St Andrews then. No, mate. Not that one either.
No. You served me in McDonald's. Yeah. No, another McDonald's product placement, actually. I think about it.
Yeah, I think that, and then, when we see... I keep forgetting his name. Galahad. I'm thinking Colin Firth, but I want to use the character's name. We see his place. He's got this room full of newspaper, like front pages, and every single one is the Sun. Like they're all the same newspaper. It's like, what, you wouldn't have picked multiples? And I get that Fox made the movie, and Fox have connections to the Sun. So
to be fair, at least on that one, I feel like if I was collecting that, you'd want some consistency, just to have proof. Go, if it's got to have a nice uniform look to it.
I feel though, given that he's a gentleman, he'd have a broadsheet.
You're right. You should, but I think that's the point. It's the idea that this is the celebrity news instead of his thing. So you go for the most overtly celebrity.
Yeah, this is what more people are talking about. Yeah, so I get it. I get it. But yeah, so they team up, and she's going to, like, they're on the plane, she's going to go into space to shoot down a satellite so he can't send the signal. So we get some ridiculous balloon contraption from the Reagan Star Wars program, is where they claim it came from. So that's good fun. But they all two go to the mountain. They find the mountain, they get inside, and Eggsy goes in pretending to be some rich dude. This is when we first see him in the suit. Like he puts on the suit, puts on the glasses, and this is him.
Yeah, and he's using Michael Caine's real identity. I can't remember, isn't it? Because obviously we just know him as Arthur.
Harry.
No. Harry's Firth.
Oh, Michael Caine's identity. Sorry, I thought. I heard Colin Firth.
Did I say Colin Firth?
No, you didn't. I heard that.
Right. Okay. No, because obviously we only ever know him as Arthur, but then they do give his name here, and it's his phone, his invitation. Yeah,
he goes in and he tries to talk to the Swedish Prime Minister, who's obviously been complicit. He uses his computer and everything goes down. And once he gets caught, like obviously the satellite gets shut down, so it stops it from happening. They're going to get a sort of another company satellite in a few minutes, so it's not only delayed by a few minutes.
He's like, what about that one? Just move that one over. Well, it's not yours. It's
so
like, zoom in. Whose is it?
Then we get a lot of round around in these tunnels in this mountain base. A lot of fun action shooting again. A lot of kind of parkour kind of stuff with him, like, you know, bouncing off the walls and dodging people and all sorts.
And obviously that like parkour stuff is something that we'd seen early on. You know, when he runs away from the guys outside his flat.
He goes down like this because it's a really kind of intricate looking apartment block. Actually, this place
it is, isn't it?
It's got like all these walkways that are kind of, you know, upwards a bit, and those stairs going down to lower walkways.
It's like a couple of connected high rises.
Kinda, yeah. I mean, it made for a fun little sequence though, because he sort of was ducking and diving. Throughout all of it. But he all this action shootout. And it works out. He actually runs back to the plane. You know, what's his face? Merlin comes out the plane, and he helps him out to get back to the plane, and everything seems kind of fine. But he's like, nah, sorry, he's got another satellite. You're gonna have to go back in. Guns blazing. He's like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I have to go back in. Which is when he goes and gets the umbrella, and he goes back in, and we get a lot of fun action sequences. Although he gets outnumbered. He actually gets to this point where there's an entire army of men on either side, and this is where it gets this is where it matters, where we care about the characters, because the music kind of ramps up. It was almost sounding like music from Kick-Ass, actually. It was almost getting into the Sunshine track. It didn't do it, but it almost felt like it was going to. There was a couple of bars, and you kind of hear the female vocal kind of like coming in, and I could almost hear it get into that track.
There's a few really obvious musical inspirations. One of them is actually the Avengers. You know that main theme that, you know, it's from the start of that movie. It kind of comes up a lot. You know, where they're in the helicopters at the start of that movie, where that all comes up, where the titles come up.
The main theme.
Yeah. But like that specific version there, the earliest version, that comes up quite a lot in this.
I didn't notice that. I think this main theme is better than the Avengers, though.
I mean, it's a more developed version, but at its core, it's very similar.
I never noticed any similarities personally, but other than the fact that it sounds like a heroic, you know, bit of brass. Like, you know, beyond that, I never really noticed any similarities.
And of course, obviously, they sprinkle in the James Bond chord every so often.
I like the music a lot, actually, in this.
It's good, yeah.
Which I typically, I mean, it's normal for me to like the music in Matthew Vaughn's movies, because like I like the score for Stardust, I like the weird score for Kick-Ass, which is this weird, wonderful combination of lots of different things that have been reused and repackaged. But it's almost like he took a greatest hits of other movies that he liked, and
it is.
But he did new, like, not Matthew Vaughn himself, but he got new versions of them done. It's like, you know, that track from 28 Days Later, or that track from Sunshine, like they wrote new tracks around them, and it goes in and out of them into new things, and it's a weird soundtrack, Kick-Ass, but it's really good.
It is.
But yeah, so the music's ramping up, and the army's coming in, and obviously at the last minute he thinks of, can you set off all the head bombs, which he does, and we get this glorious, you know, you'll know the name of it, the graduation music plays.
Oh, yeah. I can't remember the name.
Or Macho Man Randy Savage's entrance music for other people. But yeah, you know what? So that plays as all these like heads are exploding in multicolored little. It's almost like miniature nuclear blasts. That's what it looks like.
Yeah, and it forms this like fireworks display.
Yeah.
I think my favorite thing about it is this is where it doesn't just explode them all at once. It's not a simultaneous, just okay, click. Boom! It's this choreographed sequence that is just incredible. Which
feels like creative. I mean, the whole idea is like not exactly like grounded.
This is more so because, like you say, they're flicking a switch. They should all go off, but they don't. They have this choreographed sequence. Like the one that really stands out is, you know, when they're round the circular table.
Yeah, it goes around like that.
Yeah, and it speeds up like halfway round. It's It's fantastic.
No, it's creative license to just, you know, if this was a thing, it shouldn't do it this way, but it's fun, and it looks good, and it has a beat to it, so, I get the decision for that. It gives it an energy, it gives it a flow. But like I say, when this was all going down, and it looked like he was going to die, and it looked like this missile launcher was going to kill Merlin as well in the plane at the same time. The music's ramping. I'm like, oh, I actually care about all these characters, and he tells Roxy, who at this point is like landed like in the mountains somewhere.
I do like that she was the one to go up, given that she was the one who was afraid to do the skydive. She was the one that had the real trouble with the heights.
I do think the downside to that though is that she oddly has nothing to do after that. Like the rest of the movie, like all this other stuff goes on, but she's just kind of stuck in the mountains.
His movie then, doesn't it?
Yeah, but he's like he asks her like, please call my mom and make sure that she's separate from the kid, so that when this thing goes off, she won't kill her baby.
Yeah,
and we see her do that, and we obviously. I do have to not criticize, but I do have to point out that so after this goes down and this all happens and they're safe, and he grabs one of the guns and he goes running in, and he shoots the glass, and that makes Samuel Jackson his hand has to be on the scanner for this to all be happening. He takes it off when the guns start flying, and it goes on for a minute before that, where people are starting to punch each other on the beach, in Brazil, and we see it in the streets of London. They're all punching each other. We see it at a baseball game. Somewhere in the US, they're all punching each other, but it lasts like a minute. You can buy that it's not long enough for any serious damage, right? But then what was her face? Giselle, she jumps down to have this one-on-one fight, an incredible one-on-one fight, might I add.
Yes.
Now it doesn't top the church scene. The church scene, I think, stands the tallest.
That is the highlight. I think there's a reason that one became the church scene.
Yeah. But this is I'd forgotten how good this was as well. Like her swinging. There's at one point she's basically breakdancing, but she's her legs are spinning around and she's like almost slicing
and he's
them.
got like this bat.
Yeah, I think it's maybe a pipe, maybe because it's getting cut as she's like spinning, and it's like getting shorter and shorter.
Yeah,
and good fun stuff, and it obviously ends with him like taking out his shoe blade, slow motion mid jump, and because it's a poison blade, all he has to do is like nick her once, and that's it. Yeah. But while this fight's all going on, Samuel L. Jackson's hands on the thing, so the signal's going out, and we see obviously at Eggsy's mum's house, like she's like she's got a knife, she's trying to break her way into the bathroom where she's locked the kid in, and you say, okay, wait, so we're going to fix this before she kills the kid. We're not going to see like the main character's mum kill her little daughter.
You really hope so.
But all I could think was, well, she knew, like she took precautions, and that was enough time to save the kid. How many other families all over the world didn't take precautions and were in the same room as their kids?
Yeah, we just didn't happen to see those. They don't want you to think about that too hard, because then this movie gets dark as shit and not.
All
really
I could
fun.
think about was how many kids have just been killed in this 3-minute period while this fight's been going on.
Lots. Lots and lots.
Yeah, next generation is going to be quite small based on those few minutes. That's all I'm saying.
You never know. Maybe in some of the houses the kids got the knives first.
Oh great, so kids killed their parents, then they have to live with that memory. Yeah, even better.
I'm not saying it's better, I'm just saying it might equal out the generations.
I was just saying that a lot of damage could have been done in those 3 minutes, is all I'm saying, whilst this fight was going on.
I'm sure a lot of damage was done.
So he wins, and obviously just before he went to this fight, he ran into the Swedish princess who said, "Oh, if you get me out, I'll give you more than a kiss." And then when he said he had to save the world, she cracks "Oh, if you save the world, we can do." What was the line she says? Because she's not, English isn't her first language. She says it in a weird way.
Yeah, she does, doesn't she?
It's like, "Oh, then we can do the anal" or something like that.
It's like, "Then you can do me in the ass" or something like that. It's like a really weird.
But even
phrase.
that wasn't broken up enough. It was more like, then we can do ass. It was like that.
I think that's it. Yeah.
Then we can do ass.
It was weird phrasing, which is why it's hard to remember.
Yeah.
But you get the point of the jokes, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
but so he goes back and he makes Merlin open the security lock so he can get in. I think it's a funny joke. I'm fine with it, but I do think this is a weird thing to end the movie on. Which okay, technically we do have another scene that takes place a little bit. I think
again, this is going back to spoofing the James Bond things where you'd often end with the scene with the lady.
Yeah, although I'm pretty sure no James Bond movie ever had them specify it's time for backdoor entry.
They didn't, which is why it's supposed to be funny, because it's like, look, we're even more outrageous.
Yeah, I can see that.
Personally, I think it is funny. But
no, I think it's funny as well.
I remember at the time there was a lot of complaints.
Yeah, some people thought the joke was poor taste. My complaint's not about the joke. I get where the joke is. My complaint is that it felt weird to me that then, Merlin closes his computer doors because he doesn't want to watch, and it's as the doors close, the credits start playing. I just thought it was a weird note to end on.
Yeah, no, I get that.
Roxy's still up in the mountain, freezing her ass off.
He doesn't care about that. He's like, Merlin can go pick her up.
I just, bit strange. But we have one more scene where he goes back to the pub, and he obviously beats up his stepdad and all his friends in the same way that Colin Firth did at the start of the movie.
It's a complete mirrored fight. It's very, very similar, complete with flicking the glass with the umbrella.
Yeah, you obviously don't see the whole thing. You see that first part of it, and then he says the same line. Well, are we going to stand around here all day, or are we going to fight? And then cut to credits. That's all you need. But no, I will say, just sort of looking ahead to the next one, I do. It is a bit of a shame that there doesn't seem to be because obviously they're adding more agents because we're getting the American
statesman.
Yeah, and we're getting Channing Tatum and Jeff Bridges. Oh, he may be the villain, not Jeff Bridges. Jeff Daniels. No, who's the villain? So who's the villain in the second one? That's going to annoy me now.
I don't know.
There's someone else. Who am I thinking of, people? Let me go and click on it.
See, I thought Jeff Bridges as well, but I didn't think he was.
Maybe it is Jeff Bridges. Maybe I'm just
I thought he was one of the agents as well.
Maybe I'm just.
I am intrigued as to how their agency was formed, because we learn here this was, in the aftermath of, I can't remember if it's World War One or Two, where all the heirs to these fortunes had been lost. So they were like, okay, we'll pump it into this. We'll make this as our legacy.
Yeah, annoyingly, IMDb does not have this written in the order that would be helpful. Julianne Moore's in it. I think she's the villain, actually, now I'm thinking about it.
Okay, is she the new Gazelle?
I don't think she has knife legs, no.
Well, I just want to point out as well, I love that he kills Samuel L. Jackson with the knife leg. He just chucks it.
Yeah, javelin style. It is Jeff Bridges. Alright, I doubted myself, I doubted my memory, and it set me on this path, and there was nothing to ever doubt. I was right all along. God damn it. Yeah, I do think it's I hope Roxy gets a bigger role in the second one, and unfortunately I don't think she will, based on the trailer, because she's in one shot.
I can foresee it being her staying over in England, and
either that or she'll get offed in the first act.
Yeah, I hope not.
I hope, because A, I like her. I think she's good in this movie. But B, I do like. I was kind of hoping the second one would introduce a female agent who was, because even she in this movie, like, she doesn't get to do any of the action sequences. She gets to go up in the parachute thing, and it's like, okay, that's fine, but like,
because at least you have got Gazelle doing a lot of action stuff.
Yeah, but it seems like into the second one we're going to have a female villain, which is great. I mean, I'm sure Julianne Moore will take that.
Yeah.
But I think it's kind of a shame that it seems to not have had like an opportunity for a female action hero to actually do all the, do the action scenes. Have her do one of these fight scenes where she's, moving around a lot.
I feel like in some ways that was like part of, because the whole thing from Arthur to the others is like, no, we're very traditional. Like, this is the system, and you kind of get the idea that it was mostly men because of that. Like, it was entrenched in that system.
Oh yeah, like see when you see all of them meeting at the start, it is nothing but white dudes. Right,
yeah, exactly. And even when they bring in their candidates, there's only two of them that are women. I think maybe three.
Yeah, 2 or 3. It was mostly men.
Out of like 12.
And I don't know, I was watching it, I was thinking, there's so many, like, male heroes in this movie, right? Because, Mark Strong, Colin Firth, I was like, we could really use, like... And I know Roxy's there, but she gets kind of shafted in terms of...
I don't mind the older ones being that, I get, because that's the point of that's the system, and obviously Harry's whole thing is he wants to, evolve with the times, so I get, okay, that's your excuse to bring in the ladies in the younger generation. Yeah,
he wants to shake things up, yeah.
Yeah, and obviously he goes about it through the class system rather than gender. But
yeah, and that's fine. The trailer just seems like because the new American character's going to get so much screen time. It does kind of feel like she probably won't get a chance to shine all that much. Whether it's because she just stays back and doesn't go, or because she's killed off early, and I have no idea.
I'm hoping she just stays in England for whatever reason.
Actually, can I make I don't want to do another complaint. I actually really like this movie. I feel like I'm doing a lot of little nitpicks though. And this isn't about this movie so much as it's about the trailer for the second one.
Okay.
Although, and I guess it's kind of a complaint about the movie itself before I even see it. But so in the trailer, they make this big thing about all the locations from the first one get like blown up, right? That's like, you know, that's to show that this story is even serious. The villain's an even bigger threat because they know who we are, and they've taken out the mansion, they've taken out the tailor shop, and you know.
I think we don't care enough about those locations yet.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah. I feel like that's something you do in the third movie. That's when it's a trilogy. You do that in the third one after we're so established. But I feel like to do it the second, it's like, well, I don't really care about it that much yet.
Right.
So.
I feel like I guess the point of them doing it is again breaking the cliches of, you know, that being the third movie thing, but and trying to, you know, subvert the expectations by doing it early. But it's in the third movie for a reason.
Yeah, so I do think it's a bit. I mean, I'm sure it won't ruin the movie. I mean, the action again looks great in the trailer. Like, you know, the car chase looks really good. And
then for as much as you're, you know, complaining, the new statesmen, you know, they're all, you know, white men again. They look like fun characters from what we've seen.
Oh, they do.
So far.
Yeah, Channing Tatum looks like fun.
Yeah.
It was something that was really dawning on me on this because we only have one female character, really, on the hero side. That is
on the hero side, yeah.
Yeah, and she, you know, she does kind of get shafted. She's kind of just there as a plot point rather than giving her a chance to really like shine like the others do. So I hope the second one.
Well, that's it, because it feels like her part of the plan should be essential. You know, she's going up and stopping the satellite,
and it kind of is, but
then because it's overcome so immediately though by the villains, kind of undermines what she did anyway, so she didn't really contribute that much.
It does undermine it, but even if it didn't undermine it, it gives Eggsy all the good stuff to do. Like in terms of as a movie, like in terms of watching it, all the exciting stuff is he gets to do.
And this is the thing, like I say, I like that she's the one that goes up because it's the idea that that's her growth. She's overcome that fear of the heights and stuff, so that works for her character. But unfortunately, like you say, it does leave her with nothing to do after.
Which isn't so much of a problem after one movie. It was just when I saw the trailers for the second movie, I went, oh, it's kind of a bit weird that it seems to be even more of a sausage fest than it was the first time.
Yeah, because Kick-Ass kind of did a similar problem when it went to its second. Obviously, there's much bigger problems in that second movie.
Oh yeah, tons of problems.
But you know, when they kind of got rid of all the ladies that they'd set up.
They did that. That really bugged me in the second one. How they kind of discarded the love interest from the first one.
Yeah,
so,
they were just like, forget about her. Didn't matter.
Yeah. Which obviously with Vaughn, and I think Goldman's also involved with the second one. With them on board, I'm sure it'll.
I'm not expecting it to be as bad as that, obviously.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm sure it'll be good. It was just what I thought I had when I saw the trailer, and then it was when I was thinking about it as I was watching this again. I was like, yeah, it's kind of a shame that they're not giving her a chance, or another female hero a chance to. Because, I mean, I know Edgy's the main character, and he's always going to be the main character, and that's cool, that's fine. Like, yeah, he should get the focus.
You can build your supporting cast. Yeah. Like, build her up more.
Especially with how much cool stuff Colin Firth got to do in this first one.
Yeah.
You know?
Like I say, I feel like at least there was Gazelle doing cool stuff on the right side. Oh, yeah, she was
badass. Oh, she was absolutely badass, yeah.
But, like I say, in the trailers for the second one, there isn't anyone filling that role. Because, like you say, Julianne Moore's not going to be doing that.
Nah, she's the Samuel L. Jackson of the movie, and that's cool too. Yeah. But I don't know. I just like would like, let's say she can fight. Would it not be fun to have like Roxy take her on in the fight at the end? Well, you know, while the others do something else.
Maybe it's just misleading trailers.
It may be.
I mean, we have only that to go on, so we're making these assumptions, and we could be wrong. But that's what they want us to think at this point, at the very least.
And it's funny actually. Like we're talking about this how. We have the good female villain. We don't really have a lot of other female characters though, other than Roxy, who we like what we see of her, but she is kind of shafted. I think maybe that's partly why that joke at the end didn't work for a lot of people. Like, because they felt like the movie otherwise kind of shafted the female character. So then you have one at the end who's, you know, her entire character purpose is that she's a damsel, and then she offers up anal sex for the main character.
Yeah, it's because she starts as quite a strong character. She's the one who has the moral standing. It's like, no, I'm not doing this.
And I think the joke's fine on its own, but I can kind of, like, thinking about it now, and you look at the rest of the movie, it's like, okay, I get what you're saying, where the rest of it doesn't necessarily give them, like, you know, other that's examples. Fair. So I think that's maybe why that struts a chord at the time.
Yeah.
I can see it now that I'm thinking about it, but let's get off some negativity, because the movie's actually really good. It's a really fun action movie.
But my one last negative complaint, it's not really a complaint of the movie, but more it's going to annoy me.
Sure.
I'm going to have Dizzy Rascals stuck in my head for the rest of the week. And I hate that song.
Yes, Dizzy Rascals. Those people.
Yeah, all right, okay. You know the song in the when he's in the car, Bonkers.
But near the start.
Yeah, you know when he steals the car.
Oh, right, okay.
And that song that's blaring out there, and then it comes up again a bit later.
I don't remember it, but yeah, I remember. I remember a song playing, but I don't remember what it sounded like.
I hate that song. Shut up, go away. I'm sick of this song. I hate it. Rant over.
Okay. There. So, yes, I think that this is an example to me of a really competent blockbuster. And what I mean by that is it's got the big dumb action and it's got these things. The action itself is well shot, which is obviously a change from some blockbusters where you feel like it's almost like they get directors who are good at other things but can't quite do the action, so the action comes off feeling kind of weird and it's kind of there as a necessity.
When it's a blockbuster, it's kind of what you're there for a lot of the time.
So the action is really good, but when I say it's a competent blockbuster, I don't just mean that. Obviously, it's good that it does that. It goes above and beyond in the action. The action is kind of the big thing, but the characters are well rounded. They're well written to the point where they have arcs, which is really important. Yep. Like you say, all the Chekhov guns all play off. It's very efficiently written. It's very a solid script. It is. In the way that everything pays off.
Again, maybe a lot of this actually comes from Miller, but I really like the mythology and the lore behind of the world of the Kingsman.
See, that's the thing. I don't give a shit about the lore.
I'm interested in it though. I thought there's enough there that I go, oh, I like this.
I think even the name sounds boring to me. Like, it's just not something I really care about. But the good characters, the good action, everything else in it is what makes me care.
No, I get like, all that stuff's better. But I like the lore at a core level. Like, you know, when you learn they're all Arthurian characters and they're all named after these. I'm like, oh, this is I like this. So the idea that there are all these knights and they're the chosen ones.
It just comes down to a taste thing and an interest thing, because it's kind of like how I'm not typically into historical epics based on, you know, just as the subject. Like, you know, Ben-Hur, I'm not a fan of that movie. I think it's really boring. It's like 4 hours long, and, you know, I'm not saying there's nothing good in it, but it just like did nothing for me. So on a similar line, like, you know, had Ridley Scott's name not been attached to it, I would be like, I don't know if I want to see Gladiator. But, you know, then I ended up really liking Gladiator because it was a really good movie. This is kind of a similar thing where I don't really care about what the movie's about necessarily. Like, you know.
No, I get what you're saying. It's the same sort of thing where, like, telling me that information isn't what's going to get me there to watch it. But when I'm watching, I'm going, oh, I find this interesting. I'm enjoying getting these little bits of information about the world, and it, you know, just to make this world unique to something else, and that kind of just deepens the connection for me.
Yeah, for me, it's the characters, and then the mythology's like whatever.
It's definitely lower than the characters, but it's just an extra level.
Be consistent, obviously. Like, it'll annoy me if you start like betraying your own mythology, but like I'm not too far. You know, it's different to say something like I don't know, Alien, where I genuinely get really interested in that mythology. I start to think about, how does this universe work, and like what's Earth like now, and like, you know, the Weyland-Yutani Corporation and them doing all these things.
But that's the thing. I've already done that with this. You know, like when I said, they're introducing the Statesmen, I was saying, okay, I know how this group was formed, and they have this relationship with this other group. So did they come about in the same way? Was one like a spin-off branch? You know, what I want to know.
And likewise, I'm just kind of like, I don't really care.
Right.
Like, I mean, I'm not down on it, but I don't like. I hope, you know, much like in this movie where it's a couple of lines of dialogue, I hope it's the same thing where you find out quickly. Oh
no, that's fair. Like I don't need them to go loads into it, even if they don't mention it. No big deal. But I'm interested. I want to know.
So I mean, the new movie looks fun. Obviously, the new characters. I mean, I like Channing Tatum. Which is weird to say. I don't think I used to have that opinion, but, you know, enough things have happened now where I actually do kind of like him in these kind of roles.
You're right, because there was a time where I go, okay, Channing Tatum, whatever.
I mean, we just did Comrade Detective, who was voicing a character in that.
He was great.
That was good, yeah. And, you know, he's good in the Jump Street movies, and you know, people are talking to him. He, you know, I don't think he's up for it, but he could play a good Shazam, and he probably could. Like, I could see him in that role. Instead, he wants to do Gambit for some reason.
Yeah, he's really passionate about that, and I just don't get it.
I don't know. I've never met a passionate Gambit fan in my life, and Channing Tatum, for some reason, is really into Gambit.
Wouldn't have pegged it, would you?
No. You know, Jeff Bridges, I've been a big fan of for a long time. Julianne Moore is a very good actress.
Absolutely.
I don't love her in everything she's been in. Like, or not so much I don't love her, but she's not always in movies that I care about, I guess is the way I should say it.
I think she's always good.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think I've ever seen her be like less than good in anything, even movies that maybe I didn't love.
I think I hold a weird grudge towards her though, but not intentionally, but just kind of like under the surface
For what?
because she was in Hannibal and I hated that movie. And that's all. Ridley Scott made that, and I like him, but I also hate that movie.
No, it's
and it's like, you're not Clarice Starling. Clarice Starling wasn't a ginger. What's happening?
yeah. I can't argue with what you're saying.
I don't know. Just she remain, because I think that's the first thing I ever saw her in, so it just reminds me of that whenever I see her.
I think no, like that's kind of going back to what we were saying about Channing Tatum, where there was a while where I'm like,
yeah, that's
Channing
true.
Tatum, because he wasn't a problem in whatever he was in, but I didn't care about whatever he was doing.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm just joking about Julianne Moore. She's actually been very good in a lot of things, but
Yes, yeah.
Whereas Channing Tatum, there was a time when he was just the guy. What was he on? Was it One Tree Hill or was it something else like that? He was on. I think I'm thinking of someone else there, but I think he was on some show or something, and
yeah,
that was his thing.
I think there was so long where I just didn't care about like people were going, oh, like, oh, it's Channing Tatum, you know, like he's supposed to be. He was already becoming the first billing star. I'm like, I haven't seen him in anything that I care about. I haven't seen him do anything that I thought was really good. So
yeah.
I was like, oh, Channing Tatum, oh, I don't want to see that. But it was more like, I don't get it. I didn't understand what the appeal was.
Yeah. And then you saw 21 Jump Street, and it's like, oh man, this guy actually has some comedy timing here. What's going on?
Yeah.
So that's fair. So back to the movie we were talking about, though, not the next one. Obviously, we talked about some of our hopes and maybe worries, but mostly hopes for the next one. It looks good. So, but this one is a movie I went into because I liked the director and I liked the team behind it. And much like Kick-Ass, it's one of these things where I don't really like the comic book writer, but this team's already turned one of these things into gold, so can they do it again? And sure enough, they did. But just like I say, I prefer Kick-Ass overall.
I think
but
Miller has good ideas, but he can't execute them.
Miller's got good ideas, but he wants to be too edgy. He
gets in his own way, doesn't he?
Whereas I feel like what Matthew Vaughn and Jane Goldman had, obviously there's the stylish action that Vaughn adds, but I think what both of them add to the script and when they adapt it is they add a sense of heart. They add a sense of where I actually care about these characters and I care about their outcome.
And they stop it going too far with the edginess. Like I mean, there's the bit where obviously he pulls the Hitler salute, and you could go, is that pulling too far? It feels like, okay, that's quite an edgy joke. But
I
then
don't think that's an edgy joke, to be honest.
I think a lot of people would. I think a lot of people would see it as that.
It is. I think for me, because that reminds me of things like Fawlty Towers. That doesn't seem like
No, that's true.
An actual thing. So I get it. And also, I think doing that finger, that lets you know that you're not just doing the salute. You're making fun of Hitler.
Yeah, no, that's true.
That's what lets you know. Oh, this is a goofy thing. It's not like
no.
You don't see white supremacists putting the finger over them.
You'd never take them seriously again. Not that you should take them seriously anyway, because...
Well, you should take them seriously, but as a threat, as a problem, not as...
Yeah, but you shouldn't take what they're saying seriously. You should like, you're idiots, shut up.
Yeah. So, where was it going? What was I saying before you sent us down
I don't
this?
know. I was saying he was an ideas man, and
yeah. Oh yeah. He's got ideas, but I think the human element, the heart of it, is added because one day we'll do Kick-Ass, I'm sure, because we've not done that before. But and we'll talk about the differences in that. But they added so much heart to that story, and I feel like here as well they added heart where I cared about these characters by the end. Whereas I feel like Mark Miller, he writes the ideas, but he's very cold when it comes to actually caring about the characters.
It's all spectacle, isn't it?
Yeah. And I think they give it, they ground it, they give it some weight, they give it some meaning.
Yeah.
And the end result,
they show that his work can be adapted and be fantastic.
Yeah, and the end result is that you end up with this action movie that is kind of ridiculous and silly and over the top, but it's grounded by real characters and real emotion. And on top of that, really good action sequences. So you get this great package. Like, Matthew Vaughn typically is like one of my first. Whenever someone says, "Oh, who should direct this superhero?" I'm like, "Oh, Matthew Vaughn would nail it. Let him do it." Anything that's kind of like not the most super serious thing ever, but you want it to have some weight. I feel like Matthew Vaughn's usually my first pick now. If it's meant to be like a popcorn style movie with weight.
No, I get that. He's certainly up there.
In terms of mainstream movies, he's one of my favourites right now. In terms
I can't argue with that,
the crowd pleasing stuff. So,
like I said, because most people really enjoy his movies. They, and they perform reasonably well.
Yeah.
So let's just have him keep making great stuff.
Yeah. So I guess that kind of gets us to scoring the whole thing then, out of 10. So, what would you give Kingsman out of 10?
I think I go pretty high on this. I'm gonna go to a 9.
Oh.
In the sense, like, and this is one of those moments where my scoring system's slightly skewed in a sense, where I'm rating this on a 9, but maybe as a blockbuster, that's what it is. But this doesn't necessarily compare to a 9 that's, like a super serious, proper drama movie. But for what this is trying to do, I love the direction, the action, the music, the script's great. But then it does have a few problems which we've mentioned, which stop it, being any better. Yeah. But I do love pretty much everything else that it does do.
I'm going slightly lower. For me, I think it's like a solid 8. Which is still great. Like that's in the great territory, and I think it's that sort of thing where if I actually genuinely love spy movies, which is what it's kind of like homaging and playing with, like it probably would escalate even higher for me.
I think that might be where the difference between us is coming from.
Yeah,
because I grew up watching like the Bond movies. That's what my childhood was.
Yeah, I mean, I think I tried watching some of them when I was growing up, but I never really. Whereas Kick-Ass was like a play on superhero stuff, and that's like, that's like everything's linking together for me on that one, because it's like it's playing on things that I like, but it's also doing all the other things with the good action, the good characters.
That's it. Because I think this might be my favorite of Vaughn's movies.
It's not mine, obviously. Yeah. Kick-Ass is probably it. Would I rank this or Stardust higher? I'd have to go back and watch Stardust again, actually. Now that I've rewatched this again, I feel like I'd have to go back and watch...
I think we do need to do Stardust at some point, because I need to watch it.
Yeah, you've not seen it. Yeah, that's a good excuse to do that at some point. Mark Strong's in that as well, by the way. Mark Strong's in like most of his movies.
I think Mark Strong is a criminally underrated actor.
Oh, he's great.
I think he's always very good, but he never gets much praise.
He's a villain, by the way, in Stardust, because of course he is.
That's fine, I'm used to that.
He's the villain in Kick-Ass.
I think the problem is he's always very good, he's always excellent, but he's always overshadowed by bigger build names.
Yeah.
So he gets overlooked a lot.
But there you go, that has been Kingsman: The Secret Service. Obviously, we caught up in this because the Golden Circle's out soon. Obviously, you can expect a Gigawatch review from me and Matt, and maybe Connor will jump in that one, depending. But
schedules permitting, yeah.
Yeah, but that'll be coming when it comes out. So that has been Kingsman. So let us know what you think of the movie in the comments below. Like, subscribe, all that stuff. Get us on Twitter at mild_fuzz for channel updates. If you want to support the channel, head over to patreon.com/mildfuzztv. You can do that over there. You get these Influx reviews a week early for $1, so that's maybe something you might be interested in. But otherwise, that is us. So thank you once again for watching. Keep watching movies, and we'll see you next time.